Hi, it's Kai, and today we are going to be doing my first empties video of the year. We're talking all of my trash. So I have all of my beauty and lifestyle empties, which includes a little bit of laundry, some scented products, since I really like fragrance and scented items and home items as well. But I'm trying to do these videos a little bit more frequently this year. So this is just January and February. I think last year I was doing like 3 or 4 months all at once, and that made the amount of stuff I was talking about a lot. So I do have a smaller little Christmas bag. I guess it's a Christmas bag. I think it was Christmas, but I have a smaller bag. We'll just dive into these. These videos are a little bit long, so grab yourself something to drink and a snack. I just have my water canister with, I think, is this still the blackberry? Yes, I had one of those Kroger blackberry citrus, I think it was, which I like the taste, but for some reason, especially if I use too much of it at once and it's too much of almost like a juice consistency versus being a more flavored water consistency, if you understand what I'm saying, it has made my stomach hurt before. So I don't know what it is. And it's not just that flavor. I've been finding more of the purple and red flavors of things really irritating my stomach. So I probably should figure that out, but that's a problem for future Kyla, who's not about to talk about empties. But anyway, again, grab yourself a snack or something to drink. Let me know what you're drinking or eating down below, and let's just hop into talking about all of my empties. Starting off with some of the bigger things on top, which are the laundry things. Usually the first one is the Gain Rinse and Renew fabric rinse in the hibiscus hula scent. I do love these fabric rinses. I like the Gain ones, the Downy, pretty much any brand of them. I enjoy them. This one definitely has that kind of like tropical floral scent to it. It's not necessarily my ultimate favorite scent of these, and honestly, I felt like after mixing it in with my scent beads and other products with my laundry, I didn't smell like this. Added a little bit of a floral scent, but it wasn't as strong as some of the other scents I've tried of the Gain and the Downy Rinse and Renew. So if I was in the mood for this scent, I would repurchase it, but I probably wouldn't repurchase this scent anytime soon, and I haven't repurchased it. Then we have what has become my new favorite scent of scent beads. I hardly ever buy the same scent over and over again, but I have of this. I remember buying like a little size of it. I don't know if it's in this empties or if it was in another one, or if it was supposed to be in an empties and that was the container that like slipped out of my empties bin because it was so full the last empties that I did. But I know I've purchased almost the smaller trial size of it. I've purchased this size, and now I have actually the Big Daddy jumbo size. It's the Downy Unstoppables. This is their Daybreak and Clean laundry scent boosters, and this just has that really fresh, clean, crisp laundry smell to it. It kind of smells like the Tide, what is that? The sport version of the Tide, which is my favorite scent of it. I had an ex who used that and I really liked the scent of it. Their laundry always did smell good, even if they didn't smell good. You know, they were an athlete, so we'll give them a pass for sometimes being a little funky, but they were able to get the funk out of their clothes with that Tide scent. And I always, again, did really like the scent of it. So when they came out with these scent beads, I was kind of like, oh, that's perfect. I love all of it. And then this is what it dethroned. These were previously my favorite type of scent beads. They're the Fusions 2-in-1 Twilight and Jasmine ones. And these are just more of a like fruity, floral, musky scent. It definitely has less of that clean laundry vibe to it versus, again, almost like a perfumey. And I use perfumey not in a negative way, but just to say that it smells less like a laundry product and more like a, you know, perfume or body care product or something like that, because it's so fruity, floral, and almost shampoo-y. I really like both of them. I would repurchase these, obviously, because I do still really like them, but I've just been a little bit more of a fan of my laundry smelling just blank slate, though I could see myself transitioning back to these specifically for spring and summer because I do wear a lot more of my fruity floral fragrances at that time. So this kind of complements that even more. So I like both of them. That's all I have to say. I really like the scent boosters. I know some people aren't into them. Some people aren't into adding fragrance to their laundry. I like adding fragrance to my laundry because even when I don't wear perfume, which I haven't been wearing as much perfume lately, even when I'm not wearing perfume, I still feel like, along with just general cleanliness, like making sure I'm showered and moisturized and all of those good things, you know, just general hygiene taken care of, I feel like it just makes me smell good. It makes me feel a little bit more confident and secure in myself. And again, I've always been a really big fan of laundry and laundry products and laundry scents, and I love that we're getting so much more variety, at least in the scent category. Two more scent beads, both of them the Gain brand. The first one is the Odor Defense Super Fresh Blast, which is again one of those clean, fresh laundry fragrances. This one smells a little bit almost, I don't want to say tropical, but there's just like a hint of something a little bit tropical, but still fresh, almost like white floral versus being, again, clean, musky laundry, like straight musk. And then I have the apple and mango scent because I feel like people were going goo goo and gaga over this scent. And I saw on Gain advertisements in their social media, people being like, bring it back, bring it back. It was the best scent. And honestly, it smells good. Like, I like it. It just kind of smells really nice and fruity, like a kind of citrus fruitiness. I don't feel like it was necessarily anything to go goo goo gaga over. And maybe again, it was just some of the other products I was using with my laundry that overpowered the scent of this specifically. But I just felt like it didn't last on my clothes quite as well as some of the other scents that I've tried. This is actually my new favorite laundry rinse. It's the Arm & Hammer Odor Blasters Deep Rinse and Revitalize Fabric Rinse. This is Fresh Burst. It is just a fresh burst. It's a really nice, fresh, airy, kind of classic. It smells like the Arm & Hammer detergent, which I really like the scent of Arm & Hammer detergent, but I've heard / seen from people who are educated on these matters that Arm & Hammer is actually not a super effective detergent. Anyway, I really like the fabric rinse. It does leave a nice scent on the clothes. And again, mixed with this Daybreak and Clean, like this is my favorite laundry fragrance combo currently. It just makes your clothes smell clean and fresh, and like you smell clean and fresh without really having to try. So I really like it. Even just sitting here, I just keep smelling it. It makes me want to keep the bottle. Like, I know I don't need to because I actually have 2 more bottles of this. It was recently buy one get one free, and I had a coupon at Kroger. Get into couponing because that's when you can get some good deals on stuff. I essentially got, you know, 2 of them for less than the price of 1. But anyway, I have 2 more of them. I could literally go and sniff them if I wanted to. I don't need to keep an empty bottle of it just to sniff, but it's like if I could box this smell up and put it in a air diffuser, an air freshener, a fabric spray, like every single product there is to man, I definitely would, because it's just so fresh and clean and not overwhelming at all. Then for the last of the home / lifestyle-ish type products, we have some Airwicks. I have, or 1 Glade and 1 Airwick. This first one, it's the limited edition Embers and Sandalwood from over Christmas time or the holidays, and I really like the smell of it. I remember getting it and seeing it on clearance, so I was like, oh, it smells pretty good. I'll get 2 of them since they're on clearance, and that'll last me, you know, through the winter or through the year. But I also forgot that I am in a much smaller space than I was before, so I'm not having, like, these don't run out quite as quickly because I feel like I can put them on a lower intensity. And also just lately they've been a little overwhelming overwhelming, like the smell of the plug-in specifically. Again, I don't know if it's just because I am in a smaller apartment now, so there's not as much room for the scent to just whoosh everywhere. But even with one plug-in, I can smell this in my entire apartment, and even though it smelled good, it was a little overwhelming. That paired with the fact that we basically had 2 weeks cumulatively of winter this year, maybe 3 if we count some of the days where it was really cold in the morning, then somehow got to like the 60s and 70s by the middle of the day. But because of that, unfortunately, this scent was even more overwhelming because it is one of those kind of sandalwood, woody. There's like a smoothness to it, but there's also definitely a little bit of a heaviness and almost creaminess to this scent. It is one that I enjoy. I could see myself using the other ones that I have because I literally have another pack of them, but this is also a testament of don't buy something just because it's on sale and just because you think you'll like it. I like the scent. I would like it maybe in a larger space and all of that, but in the space that I'm currently in, this was just a little bit overwhelming for me. I did enjoy, this is the ripe cranberry and currants from Airwick, and I think this was a little less overwhelming for me as far as it being a still more holiday-ish scent, but because it was more fruity, like it's a cranberry and there's still a hint of like a woodiness, like a Christmas tree evergreen, you know, ness to it. But I do feel like the fruitiness helped lighten it quite a bit. I don't know, I've just kind of been more interested in trying things that aren't the Airwick. I recently bought from TJ Maxx some scented, what are those called? Not oil diffusers, but like the reed diffusers. And I've actually been enjoying the reed diffusers and trying a different mode of scenting my home. I just feel like it gives off a nice smell in the areas that I want smell without it being so overwhelming in the entire apartment. And then I also feel like I can do more mixing and matching of scents instead of, again, the diffuser feeling, even on the lowest level, so strong that it's going through my entire apartment versus just one area. I currently have one on my bookcase that is, you know, near my front door. And the smell of that one kind of wafts into my living room and kitchen area. And then I have another one in my bathroom area that, you know, fills the bathroom. Even though the one in the bathroom, at first I wasn't too impressed with it. But when that's empty, we'll get to talk about that in one of these Talking My Trash videos. Moving on to all the beauty products, I have a hair product, which, you know, on here, very rare for me to have hair products that I finish. And you can probably tell by the condition of this when I hold it up that while I may have liked the product, I don't like the packaging and I'm probably not going to repurchase it because of the packaging. For me, there's someone, and I think, I don't know if I've talked about this before. Sometimes I bring up the same thing multiple times because I don't know if I've talked about it already, but I remember seeing a comment, and I think it was around maybe like the Leaked Labs thing, or maybe even before, but someone was basically like, if you let the packaging deter you from using the product, then you don't really like the product, or like that, basically implying that it's, especially for a product that's good, it's pointless or stupid to not use it just because you dislike the packaging, or return a product because you dislike the packaging even if you like the product. And I would argue that I am at the point where all of the brands are starting to look the same, sound the same, offer similar things. Like there's very few brands in the beauty space who are doing something different. I feel like the quality of makeup products, like between luxury brands, mid-tier, drugstore, prestige, like all of these, the quality of products, drugstore, along with the price of a lot of them, has caught up in quality pretty much to a lot of the luxury brands. So really you're just paying for branding, marketing, packaging, And if the packaging makes the product harder to use, then I do feel like it should be, even if it's a good product, even if it's a stellar holy grail, like I want to use this all the time because it just works so well in my life. If the packaging is bad, it is going to deter me, and I feel like it should deter people. Like, we should have higher standards for the products that we're being given and the packaging, and it not just being like, oh, I'm going to like not test this packaging at all. And I know that's like a marketing expense, and this goes more deeply into like business decisions and whether you want to pay for product market or market research rather, and product testing and stuff to make sure that your product is usable. Anyway, aside from that whole tangent, I am a person who, even if I enjoy the product, if the packaging sucks or makes the product harder to use for me, I'm going to be less likely to purchase it. And that's kind of what happened with this product and multiple products from the Mint Condition line from Body by TPH. This was the tingling scalp conditioner, and I actually did like this. I felt like my head and scalp felt really nice and refreshed while still not feeling like that tight dryness, you know, after getting out of the shower. My hair felt nice and soft. I overall enjoyed the effect of this. And granted, I don't have a lot of hair to necessarily test whether it's going to help your hair revitalize and get longer and stuff like that, but I did generally like this product. My issue is that the top of this was like this little 3-pointed spout. I'll try to insert a picture of it if I can find one. But the spout, like the holes for the spout were so thin, and with the thickness, like you can even tell around the rim that some of it, this was a formula that was thick enough to be able to kind of dry and congeal around the top of it. So it needed a bigger hole. It needed a bigger spout. And honestly, whenever I see products with spouts at this point on them, especially beauty products, there's a 99% chance that the hole is not big enough. I've seen it with body washes that squeeze out. Body washes are probably the one where it happens the least often because it's such a slippery texture. I should have said body scrubs rather, is where I see it more often negatively impacting the product because it's so hard to squeeze out. Again, shampoos and conditioners, hair treatments, things like that. And it's just, it doesn't, I don't know what it is. Like, again, are we not testing our product? Are we not seeing whether this formula is going to take forever to come out? And so, especially as someone who is strong, I had trouble trying to squeeze this out. And again, we're in the shower. It's wet and slippery everywhere. Trying to squeeze something out of these little holes where it's like clogging up, and then we're talking about it congealing in the holes over time as you're using it. It was just such a difficult product to use that I ended up just taking the top off and then putting a piece of foil on top of this essentially to keep it covered and pouring it in my hand. And honestly, I don't want to have to do all that for a product that I'm using. So again, I would not repurchase this, even though I liked the way that it made my scalp feel. I wouldn't repurchase this for that reason. If it's too difficult for me to squeeze out, as someone who again is very able-bodied and strong, I could only imagine what a nightmare that product was for other people. This is another product that kind of has that similar problem, and I talked about this in a different scent in my last empties, but this is the Le Monde Gourmand Perfume Sugar Scrub. This is the Fruit du Dragon scent, and again, I thought the packaging was really nice and innovative because it has this twist bottom and then it opens a hole at the bottom and you squeeze out the product. This hole, however, as you can see, it's just too small for a sugar scrub product, and it was, while this packaging, I will say, it's like almost that soft touch matte packaging, and I do feel like that helps you get a little bit of a better grip on this. It was still, again, too difficult to squeeze out, and I ended up just twisting this top off and squeezing it out of this hole at the top. But again, that defeats the purpose of the packaging and it being innovative. So if we just like took one tiny step further to make sure that this was a big enough hole for this, I would be able to recommend this. If you do think this packaging is nice and innovative and want a formula that actually works with this packaging, the Super Sweet brand actually uses this same packaging, and I believe they're sister brands. Them and Le Monde Gourmand are like they're part of the same brand incubator type thing. And I remember getting their body scrub in PR and just kind of being like, oh, I already have the one with Le Monde Gourmand, and I didn't really love the, you know, sensation or like the experience of squeezing it out. It was too much. But when I tried the one from Super Sweet, that one's not a sugar scrub. I think it's like a quartz scrub, but it's definitely a finer texture, so it actually squeezes out a lot easier. So I actually really like that formula, and I would repurchase it. I think I talked about in my last video how these Super Sweet items are going to be on sale for the last week or during the last week of the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, in that while I have the Caramel Temptress one, that's the one that they sent to me in PR, the scent of it isn't necessarily my favorite. Like, I'm using it up because, you know, it's in the shower, it's not gonna last. Well, that one actually does last when I get out of the shower. I can definitely still smell it a little bit on my skin once I'm out of the shower, but in general, things in the shower aren't gonna last that long outside of the shower. But as I was saying, I do want to repurchase that body scrub because I like it, but I want to repurchase it in a different scent. So I'll probably see possibly about getting it during the 21 Days of Beauty, specifically in the Pear Skin scent. I know I've talked about that scent, whether on here or other platforms, quite a bit, but it's just so good. It is just, I can't get enough of it. I truly can't. I need to do a favorites video soon because I haven't really done a favorites video in the longest time. And that product and those lines of products will definitely be in it. So spoiler alert to everyone. Anywho, unless I fix the packaging and formula incompatibility for me, I probably would pass on it. It is a decent sugar scrub. I like the way that it smells. It definitely, when it says it's perfume sugar scrub, they're like packing it with perfume. So again, you do smell it a little bit after the shower, especially if you use complementary products. And they do have some other complementary products you can use if you do like the scent. The scent is a very like fruity, artificial, like dragon fruit scent, but I don't necessarily hate it. I do think that it smells good, especially along with like the vibe of doing an everything shower. Now you want something that's kind of uplifting and fun, in my opinion. This next product, I'm so sorry. This was so bad. This was so bad. I got sent the Salt Air HA Body Hydrator Hyaluronic Acid Body Serum. This was terrible. I basically had to hate pan or hate finish this because it just, like, it says it's supposed to be a lightweight and fast absorbing body treatment that hydrates skin for softer, smoother, and plumper looking skin. It has the collagen complex, helps firm and boost elasticity while a replenishing blend of sodium hyaluronate, red algae, and magnesium chloride improve the skin's moisture barrier. If I'm being completely honest, if you like associate, and now that I'm looking at the word firm specifically, I feel like it was one of those products where they wanted it to feel firming on the skin, or like it was firming the skin, and in reality it just made my skin feel dry and like straw. It is very lightweight and it is very fast absorbing, but to the point that as someone like me whose body just like soaks up, what do you call it, like moisturizing and hydrating products like a sponge, especially the skin on my body, it's always been super dry. So this just kind of seeped into my skin and felt like I hadn't put anything on. I could not put this on. Like, it says that you can wear it alone or let dry and layer with a moisturizer for added hydration. I could not wear this alone. This made my skin feel so dry and itchy, and then even a couple of minutes later, realistically like 30 minutes, you know, but 30 minutes to an hour later, the first times that I was trying this on its own, it just made my skin feel, and my skin did still look dry even using it over time. So this, again, I wouldn't recommend it if you're very, very, very averse to hydrating products or like lotions. You have a lot of sensory issues with them. This might be something that can give you a little bit of moisture to your skin, but this actually gave me more sensory issues because it gave my skin just that dry straw-like feeling that I don't like. It made my skin feel drier than when I didn't put any type of lotion on coming out of the shower. More body moisturizing products. We have got the Whipped Sugar and Shea EOS body lotion. This was one of their limited edition holiday ones from a couple of years ago, and this was just not necessarily my favorite scent from them. It was like a sweet floral or sweet kind of caramelized scent with a little bit of a floral presence to kind of lighten it up. Like, it's creme brulee, brown sugar, and blush peony. And I will say, the longer that I use this, it did grow on me. It was one where I was firmly just like, I don't like this one. I'm not trying to really wear it. And that's why I ended up trying to, again, almost hate finish it, but it ended up being almost a Cinderella story. I didn't love it at first, but by the end of me using it, I was just like, you know what? I don't mind her. I feel like she goes with a lot, especially with like my wintertime fragrances. I'm not always necessarily looking for very dense vanilla fragrances, and even when I do like vanilla fragrances, I still like them to have some florals. I still like them to have some smoky woodiness, like some interest, and I feel like this is a scent that layers well with all of the type of vanilla-ish or sweet, I'll even say sweet floral scents that I like to indulge in the winter time. So I don't think this one came back last year, actually. You know, if it came back in the future, would I purchase it myself? Probably not. But if EOS sent it to me again, I would maybe be like, okay, I'll use it. It's not as bad. Like, I have to retract me being like, I'm just not kind of getting this one, because again, after using it and actually playing with it with the fragrances in my collection, it's not so bad. Next is the Sol de Janeiro Rio Dio Cheirosa 59 fragrance. And honestly, I purchased this because my friend over on TikTok, Elise Loves Smells, she raved about this, I think earlier this year, even last year. She's liked this scent of the Sol de Janeiro products and also perfumerism as well. She was one of the first people that I saw talk about the Rio Dio scent and really like love it, to the point of doing sponsorships and stuff with them for it. And I remember just being like, oh, I haven't really been that interested in the Sol de Janeiro since, like, anything that they've come out with, it hasn't sparked my interest. And then I smelled this one. I think I had gotten a little body cream and I was just like, whoa, this is actually really nice. Like, it's a, again, vanilla floral scent. I feel like it goes really well with that EOS lotion, actually. And that's something I've been doing a little bit more, is kind of pairing my body care products together in scent category, or like complementing them. So even if my shower routine doesn't necessarily last outside of the shower, I'm continuing it with some other products that then add a little bit of interest. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this, I love the scent of it. It's just like this very creamy vanilla floral. It almost, like, some people get a little bit of ice cream from it, and I can definitely see that. It's like, you know, those fancy pictures where they have the little edible flowers for restaurants and dessert plate, you know, it seems like a ice cream with edible flowers on top of it, if you get my drift. But it does smell really good, and I actually did really like this deodorant. It doesn't have aluminum in it. It's just a deodorant. It's not an antiperspirant. So if you're a person who wants an antiperspirant, then this isn't going to be for you. But you could also use a antiperspirant under it and then put something like this on top, because this is very fragrant. This, when I was waving my hands around, I could smell it wafting out again, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm smelling the mixture of my fragrance products. No, I was smelling this. This is very underneath the arms of my clothes. Even when I was sweating and stuff like that, I was sweating off the smell of this. I do feel like because it has more of that creamy formula, it helps absorb sweat a little bit more than something that's more of that like slick gel consistency. It doesn't make my underarms feel super slick when I do sweat or anything. So I do overall like the experience of this deodorant. My only gripe about it is more so it being refillable. So technically I don't have to get, you know, the Rio Dio, like this Shiroza 59 scent specifically. Like I can just keep this packaging and get any of the refills, but none of the refills are sold in store. When I went to go get a refill of this, actually, I couldn't find it. They only sell the full deodorant for all of the different scents. So I think the refills are online only, and that's just like, oh, well, if I need deodorant today, I'm not trying to wait for an online order to come in, because then I have to buy another deodorant today and then have another, and I'm trying to not have as many extra backup products, like really minimize how much I have in that regard. So it's not something where I feel like if you can't get the refill readily available when you run out of it, I'm questioning a little bit how sustainable it is. And also just in general, I've seen some videos from people who are in the packaging industry, and a lot of refillable products for this reason, because it's not easy to find the refills. People just end up chucking this, or it's just plastic waste. For that reason, a lot of people find that these refillable products are more so greenwashing than actual, you know, help to the environment. The last thing I did want to discuss is the packaging. And part of the reason I currently have it just kind of floating around like this is because when I was ready to take this out and say, okay, I'm going to get a refill, I need to get rid of the tube inside, it was so difficult to pull this out. Like you can see this, you know, where this side is dug in versus the rest of the deodorant that's kind of down there. I had to put like pliers in it to pull it out, which again, if it's that difficult to end up changing out the deodorant with the refill, a lot of people are just going to say, I'm gonna chuck it and just rebuy the full packaging if I like it that much anyway. So I feel like there's a lot of issues that need to be solved with this deodorant to actually be sustainable, or like the refillable aspect to be an attractive draw. Because again, I wanted to get this even in another scent, but I didn't want to wait for the refill to come in online. We've got my favorite moisturizer of all time. This is Verdant Force Field from Phytosurgence. It is their restorative moisturizer with green tea, licorice root, centella, PHA, allotonin, and panthenol. And this one just feels really nice on the skin. It's really nice in, what is that called, moisturizing. It locks in all of my products underneath it, and I just feel like my skin always feels really nice and healthy with it. The biggest problem is that this goes out of stock very quickly. And then also, even though I do know Tom and Jason from working with them and just that relationship with them, it never seems to fail that every time I am out of this, like running completely out, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up while there's a sale. I don't need to buy anymore because I still have half of it. I'm gonna pick it up during the sale, sells out during the sale. Fine, okay, whatever. I'll wait until I'm closer to being done with it. Then when I'm closer to being done with it, they're always on vacation and have the shop shut down. And I'm just like, do you have telepathy, like the opposite type, where it's just like, gosh, we're gonna go out, like no one needs anything, we're gonna go out of town, and now I'm out of my moisturizer. So the last time that it happened, I did get another moisturizer because I was genuinely completely out of this. And I've been using it and I enjoy it, and I'll continue using that until I finish it. But do I like it as much as this? No. This is just really nice and soothing. I've used it not only on my face, but on my body, on scars, on tattoos when they've gotten like really dry and crusty and needed a little bit of rehab on them. I put it on eczema, contact dermatitis, you name it. I've put this product on it to help soothe it, to help moisturize the area, and it's never failed me. This product I finished because I was out of my Phytosurgeon's moisturizer, and I was like, okay, you might as well go through all of the moisturizing-ish products that you currently have. So this is the Summer Fridays Jet Lag Mask, and I've had this before. I think this is like my third tube of it. I want to say I've had like 2 small tubes, and then I finally plunged on the big tube, and I do really like the Jet Lag Mask, obviously. I feel like it is a heavier weight moisturizer. I don't really use it much as a mask or like super thick because I feel like my skin again just kind of absorbs it like a sponge, but I do feel like it gives me good moisturization without feeling slick or too heavy. It's also a good one to put under makeup. I really like the way that my makeup looks when I've used this as a moisturizer. However, I think I would probably opt for the smaller tubes in the future because the longer, and I mean, you can see it's pretty flat. I was trying deliberately to squeeze it from the end so that I would be able to get as much of the product out as possible, but it's an aluminum tin, and even with their little, I got a tube key because I purchased this from their website and they were running a, what do you call it, a promotion where they gave you a free tube key, like the thing to squeeze it up if you bought it. Anyway, I was using the tube key, and if you can see, let me see if I can focus my camera on this. If you can see on the side, using the tube key to try to move it up kind of split the packaging and started opening it and such, which obviously isn't good, and even like chipping the packaging. So I do think that there needs to be, like, I don't know what the solution is. I know aluminum is a really recyclable material, but I just feel like the packaging, it's, you know, it's not necessarily bad. I feel like the smaller tubes that I had tried did not do this, but also maybe it's because the smaller tubes, like, you're able to really press from the bottom more easily and get all of it up, and it's just, I don't know, but I don't like that it split, and I've heard other people talk about it splitting for them too. So I feel like even just, I'm glad that it was already when I was down to the wire when it was splitting, but I don't know, I just don't want my packaging splitting like that. So I do like this. I think I will opt for the smaller tubes just because maybe not having them as long helps keep the packaging together a little bit better. We've got what used to be my favorite sponge. This is the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge. I'm just not very interested in patronizing e.l.f.'s brand anymore, if I'm being completely honest. I've talked about it a few times before, and I mean, hey, everyone's talked about it pretty much, but I'm just in the mode of trying to get through what I currently have from them and then try out other brands, because there's way too many makeup brands to support ones that don't really align with my personal morals, my values, and in general, I'm just getting tired of all of the brands who are stunt casting, rage baiting, like all of that, versus, you know, relying on the fact that they've had good products in the past, or that they're a price competitor, or whatever their competitive edge was. And I mean, we're seeing it so much in the fragrance community currently too. And it's just, I wish we could go back to products, you know, standing for themselves somewhat versus everyone needing some sort of viral moment. I do really like the e.l.f. face sponges. I did do a semi comparison to it in one of my recent videos of trying a beauty blender sponge, which is the sponge I've been using more recently now. So if you want to check that out, I'll try to remember to put a little card for it. I liked it, used it literally for years, was buying the 2-pack each time I needed them, and now I'm not using them anymore. Then we've got the Milani Make It Last Original Setting Spray, which was one of my, or slash is one of my more favorite setting sprays, but Milani is also one of those brands where using them is kind of in that gray area for me morally, because, you know, they did have those jokes they made about the Amber Heard trial, and I don't feel like they were like, why are you getting involved with that? You're a makeup brand. I get that they were, you know, using a compact that looked like slash was similar to them, but like feeding into it, it was, even though I feel like it's kind of the same thing as the Elf and Matt Rife thing, maybe a little bit less egregious, because it's like, okay, this is, I don't know, maybe not less egregious. It's still something that when I use them, I'm just kind of like, I like Milani products. I feel like they've had less controversy around them versus other brands. And I do still think they have decent products. Sometimes it can feel a little bit like, you know, if I'm going to crucify this one brand for what they've done, even though, to be fair, it was a different time. And I feel like I will allow, to a certain extent, that to be an excuse or explanation as to why Milani got to, you know, poke fun on their social media at the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, and it just kind of blow over with people. And I think also just the overall public perception, but then it's difficult because I guess the idea would be that Matt Rife had a certain amount of women in his audience that it would have made it lucrative for Elf to work with them, but it's a little, you know, just up in the air as to how exactly, like, why, again, other than the passage of time and general sentiments at the time, it's kind of just like, why does one get smoke more than the other? And that's something that just within my channel and when I post, instead of shying away from the fact that, hey, these brands have controversy, there's one that I might use more than the other or excuse more than the other, there's obvious bias in that. I'm a human. But I would rather talk about the fact that these brands have controversy than to like shy away from it and then just kind of be like, well, they're in my collection and I'm going to finish using them until they're done. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just kind of my philosophy on things. Something I mentioned finishing in my Project Pan update video because I finished it so closely to the end of last year, you know, but technically it was emptied in January of this year. The Dance the Tides Nude Matte Shadow from NYX. This was like my first ever eyeshadow and it was in my Project Pan for years. I'm trying to open it. It's completely gone. She's gone. So I am probably going to clean off this component and actually put a liquid, like this is a dried up Stila liquid eyeshadow, and I'm just gonna see if I can maybe put it in there and like pat it down with maybe some Inglot Duraline and see if I will use that shadow up more that way. And if that's successful, then I'll start pressing some of my other liquid, like dried out liquid eyeshadows down into compacts, because I often do just reach a brush into this, but it's a little bit messier, I feel, than if I would just press it down into a compact. Next, we have a bunch of fragrance. I've been trying to finish a lot of my fragrances that are on their last leg, like 1 or 2 uses left in them. So that's why I've gotten through quite a bit of them. Full Bottle Finish is one that I had in kind of like a Project Pan speed run type of thing, and I didn't end up finishing it by the end of last year, but I did finish it rather early this year. It's Clean Warm Cotton. This is one of the ultimate clean laundry fragrances. It smells basically like Gain but perfume, like not exact like Gain, but it has that very bright fresh citrus and musky, but then still a little bit of airiness, like laundry type of vibe to it. So again, if you want a clean fresh laundry fragrance, clean Warm cotton is your girl. There's a whole bunch of clean laundry fragrances that I love, but if there's one that I would recommend to someone who's like, I want to smell like laundry and nothing else, like I don't want to smell like flowers, I don't want to smell like orange, like I just want to again smell like clean, crisp laundry, that's the one that I recommend. Another good kind of laundry detergent, but also kind of like high-end fancy hotel fragrance that I finished is Room Service. This is a little compact, not compact, what is this called? Traveler thing from, I think I got it from Maxorama because they were having a sale, but it's a decant basically. This one is definitely a lot more aromatic. I think it has a bamboo note, which makes it smell like it is very, I don't know how to explain it. It just smells again like that fancy high-end spa or like those luxury, and not like the luxury apartments that call themselves luxury, but like the actual luxury apartments and condos that have like scented air freshener in them. Like you're walking down the hallway and it just smells good, you know? There's a little bit of powderiness to it as well. It just smells so clean and nice. Again, one that I love, and I feel like if I purchase a full-size Wilhelm Perfumery fragrance, it will most likely be this one. Either this one or Opus Core. They're both kind of within the same realm of being really fresh and clean, but I feel like I like the softness of this one a little bit more. I do need another sample of Opus Core though, because it's been a while since I've sniffed that one. Another Wilhelm, I have a sample of it. This is Modest Mimosa, and I like this in that it is interesting. It is very different, but I just don't feel like it's something for me. If you're like a really green garden earthy type of girl, you like those types of perfumes, you want to smell like carrots underneath the earth or like digging carrots out of the earth, I would highly recommend this fragrance because that's exactly what it smells like. It's very earthy, has a little bit of even a gritty dirtiness with the earthiness in my opinion, and that's what I don't like on my skin. I like more earthy green fragrances than earthy like soil type of fragrances because they just turn a little bit more stank or rank on my skin personally. There's also those powdery floral facets, which are my favorite parts of this fragrance. But again, if you want to kind of smell like digging carrots out of the earth with a little bit of florals, again, powdery florals mixed in there, I would highly recommend this. I think, again, those kind of earthy green girls who want something that doesn't smell like everyone else would really enjoy that one. Then I finished 3 Le Monde Gourmand travel sizes. One is Acai Bay or Bai. I think this one has been discontinued, but it's kind of like an acai, so it kind of has that like berry-ish type of scent, but it's almost like berry and shea butter and a little bit of like sweet vanilla. Kind of has like a vanilla shampoo or like a berry vanilla shampoo vibe to it. It's not one that I would repurchase, but it's one that I think a lot of people would enjoy. My personal favorite, and one that I would repurchase if I didn't already have something that smells semi-similar to it, is Citron Glacé. This one is like a zesty but still sweet, like lemon, almost like a lemonade type of scent. And the scent that it reminds me a lot of is St. Julep. And St. Julep has an added mint and bourbon note that adds a little bit of a bite to it, so that's why I say they kind of smell similar. But if you don't want something that has that more mintiness to it, I would suggest Citron Glacé. If you want something that is more so that just like sweet lemonade or lemon drink, maybe not so lemonade, because again I feel like it's much sweet, like it's a really sweet lemonade, if that makes sense. But I do again really like that one. And then there is Late Day Cocoa, which is like the scent of every pretty black girl. Like you see just a pretty black girl walking down the street. I've said it once before. This is what I imagine they smell like, even if they don't smell like it at all. I just do, because it kind of has that like shea butter and coconut type of scent to it that is reminiscent of a lot of hair products that we would have used growing up. And there also is just a slight bit of a like clean musky, almost shampooiness underlying it that again gives it that hair product type of vibe. So I really like that one. It is beautiful. I think I still have the, what do you call it? They have a body mousse product, which is a pretty cool concept. I have fun using it at least, but I still have that. And I really like that scent for layering as well. I find that with some of my fragrances, like my super coconutty fragrances, I can mix a little bit of that in it to kind of still maintain that tropical vibe, but cut down on like the very sweet in your face kind of heady coconut. And then if I have some vanilla fragrances, it gives it like a slightly coconutty tropical-ish sway. If I have some floral fragrances, it just adds like a more floral split. Like it's a really good one to layer. And then last but not least is one of my favorite fragrances from Ellis Brooklyn. It is just so wonderfully marine, and as a water sign, it makes me want to go out to the ocean. It feels like the mermaids are calling me when I smell this. It's Ellis Brooklyn Salt, and this is just one of those very deeply, like, it's even hard to explain like how it smells, kind of marine and salty. It's like driftwood, but also it gets caught in the back of your throat. Like it has this muskiness. It smells a little bit like your skin like coming out of the water and letting your body dry off, and just having a little bit of that like salty, musky, been in the sun all day. You don't smell necessarily stank or rank because you've been in the water, but you just smell a little bit like, you know, I don't know what it is. I really love this fragrance. It was actually on sale during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty. And if it wasn't for the fact that I'm trying to cut down my fragrance collection significantly, and I do have other salty, marine-ish fragrances to use up, I probably would have repurchased this in the sale. And as someone who kind of thought this Ulta 21 Days of Beauty was underwhelming, I'm hoping that this isn't a scent that Ellis Brooklyn is putting in the sale, or that's in the sale. Ulta, Ellis Brooklyn, whoever's making the ultimate decisions behind the scenes on these products, I'm hoping it's not one where like it's being put in the sale because it's slow moving and people aren't buying it, and that it might get discontinued, because it seemed like there were a few different products in the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty this time around that were like discontinued or on the chopping block of being discontinued or pulled from Ulta stores or something. So again, hopefully that's not the case. If you want to smell like a salty siren and just a beautiful mermaid, I would highly recommend this fragrance. But that is it. That is all of my empties for the last 2 months. I'm actually a dirty fucking liar and wasn't done. I filmed the, what do you call it, the ending of this video before this, but I forgot I had 3 other perfume samples sitting here. So the first one is, again, so used that you cannot even see the, what do you call it, the lettering on it. But this was Merari Perfume's Velvet Apricot. It was such a bright, spongy, like velvety, kind of, again, peachy apricot type of fragrance. One of my absolute favorites from Merari. I will definitely, well, I want to repurchase it. Merari is an indie brand, so sometimes their, you know, catalog doesn't stay consistent throughout different times of the year, but I hope this is a permanent scent because I love it. And then the last 2 are actually discontinued, I guess. I had a fragrance friend, Pixie Apocalypse, who had a perfume brand semi-briefly, and I remember her seeing a comment when she was talking like on the perfume community with other people on the talk, and she implied that she wasn't good at making perfumes, and I hated that. Like, I ended up picking back up the fragrances that I enjoyed from her, from my little samples she sent me. Again, I really appreciated them. You can't get them anymore, but this one is Marshmallow. Their brand was Fatal Attraction Perfumery. This one is like that kind of fluffy marshmallow, but it almost has a little bit, they were going more for like the inside, like the gooey inside of a marshmallow, you know what I'm saying? And it definitely has a little bit versus the powderiness of some other marshmallow fragrances, kind of a creaminess to it. So I really enjoyed it. And then there was Marshmallow Snow, which if I'm not mistaken was like their marshmallow scent mixed with a little bit of lavender to lighten it up and make it more aromatic. And I usually don't love lavender scents, and I enjoyed the lavender. Like, it didn't smell like clean lavender, you know, it just really lightened and brightened the fragrance up a little bit. So again, really sad that they felt that way about their perfumery skills, and I'm here to say no to that. Don't downplay yourself. Even if you don't think you're super talented or that you're good at something, other people might still enjoy your creations. Anyway, back to the original ending of this video. Let me know what items you've been finishing up lately. What are your favorites? What are your least favorites? What did you like? What did you not like? Just let me know. But I hope you're staying safe and healthy wherever you are overall when you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.